somebody has behaved in a certain way, we say we cannot call the person to the bar. I was surprised at the furor that rose up concerning the call to the bar of certain people, and I thought, like, seriously, this is proper conduct for the legal sector? That's interesting. Anyway, so for you to come into our space and to come into the space of the legal sector, your conduct cannot be obscene and offensive, and you expect that you'll be admitted. It doesn't work like that. Your comments on social media, your ex parte communications for judges is extremely critical. When somebody has behaved in a certain way, we say we cannot call the person to the bar. I was surprised at the furor that rose up concerning the call to the bar of certain people, and I thought, like, seriously, this is proper conduct for the legal sector? That's interesting. Anyway, so for you to come into our space and to come into the space of the legal sector, your conduct cannot be obscene and offensive, and you expect that you'll be admitted. It doesn't work like that. Your comments on social media, your ex parte communications for judges is
Gertrude Tokono, the Lord Chief Justice, expressing her views about something that became topical. I'm a governor, a lady who passed her exams and was expecting to be called to the bar. The Ghana Bar Association General Legal Counsel decided they will not call her to the bar because of something they described as offensive conduct. What is the offensive conduct? She was showing certain photographs on social media and behaving like some young people do on social media these days. Gertrude Tokono, the Chief Justice, is resolute that that kind of conduct cannot be accepted for barristers. And that's you see her photograph on the left, Justice Gertrude Tokono on the right. Tonight, we have spoken to insiders about this matter. We have the latest on what has happened since the young woman was told that she cannot be called to the bar. What engagements have occurred? A committee had been set up to look at her matter. What did the committee say? She herself has published an article in which is alleging that the committee set up, cleared her, and she's ready to be called to the bar. However, Justice Gertrude Tokono is concerned that the general public were concerned that such conduct should not be called to the bar. And you heard the expression she used, like a young woman. She said, like, seriously? Did you hear that? Tonight we have something about that. And also, my good friend from Presec, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, has found another scandal in the kitchen. He calls it the kitchen cabinet scandal. We shall show tonight that is much ado about nothing. And that, as we said in our flyer, charity begins at home. Now, who caused some is part of the questions we'll be asking tonight as we delve into that matter of a supposed opinion rendered by the learned Attorney General to the Ministry of Finance, which was confidential until Samuel decided to publish it. We'll get into the details of that matter as well. We see that on our flyers. It's very interesting for many people because they're wondering what we have to say. We always have something to say, don't we? And we will say it. Good evening, Uncle Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. I think he'll be on Good Morning Ghana tomorrow morning. Those of you who may want to hear him, he'll be on tomorrow morning. Or was he on today? I have to check. But I think he'll be on either tomorrow or he was on today or the day after. A great politician. We'll deal with his matter against Attorney General Edgar Biosrit Ochidako and the law firm African Legal Associates. That's coming up also on the touch screen. And then we have obtained from our sources close to the police CID the effect of the advice that has been rendered to the Criminal Investigations Department by the learned Attorney General relating to the now infamous and controversial money theft from Cecilia Dapaah, the former Minister for Sanitation's residence. We will give you all the details with the graphics, and then and you can see it. It's a story that has OSP Cecilia Dapaah, Godfrey Damit, the Attorney General, and Martin Amidu has been weighing in onto it. These days, I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe we have been praying hard. Martin Amidu is agreeing with us on almost everything that we have been saying. Tonight, we'll show you an article where Martin Amidu agrees with us that the arrest of Cecilia Dapaah was particularly populist. Martin Amidu is actually asking for an investigation of the OSP because of the conduct and the way in which he overpopularized the arrest and the question of Cecilia Dapaah. Martin Amidu is agreeing with us. Of all people, well, wonders never end, do they? The other day, we advised him to watch Manchester United and relax. Maybe he's been doing that. But we'll show you what Martin Amidu says about it after we have told you what is in the advice that the Attorney General has rendered to the CID relating to the Cecilia Dapaah matter. So a lot coming up. But last week, we were celebrating Derek. He's here from Kumasi. Derek is in the studio tonight. Hello, Derek.
Hello, Paul.
How are you? And good evening, welcome. What's your first impression of being in the studio for a program that you say you like so much? What's your first impression?
I mean, to be quite honest, since last Thursday, I've been consumed by a tempestuous streak of emotions.
Hey, say that again. Your English is very brutal, so take it slowly. You said since last week you've been what? I've
been consumed.
Consumed by
a tempestuous streak of emotions.
Hey. What does that mean?
I mean, it's like I don't know whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad.
And so, did you have people calling you?
Of course. I mean, I have a lot of people right now seated behind their televisions because of me, and they are watching me. I must say, I mean, for about 12 years, this has been a familiar ground for me, at least from where I sit. But to enter here in such close proximity to the man I have labeled mighty is unbelievable, to say the least.
What time do you arrive in Accra today?
I arrived about 6 p.m. thereabouts.
Okay.
6 p.m.
So when you came in, what did you first observe?
I was met with Kweku, and I had noticed him because I've been seeing him on television and all that, and he welcomed me in open arms. So I was counting the time to arrive at the moment where I'll get to meet my hero, I should say. And to be here right now, if care is not taken, right now my emotions are at a crescendo, and it is for a fine reason, because.
Thank you so much, Derek.
So, because I was introduced to this program when I was only 16 years.
By who?
By my elder brother.
He told you to watch it?
He told me to watch it. He was quite serious on me in that regard. Initially, I didn't know why he had wanted or he had insisted for me to be introduced to such a program. But then later, I got to know why. Because as I sat there and watched you exhibit sheer grace and panache in your act of elucidation, like you sit there and you educate the viewers and all that, and I was totally amazed, and I've never looked back ever since.
Thank you very much. Tonight we'll have more to talk about. It's 25 minutes past the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. This is Good Evening Ghana, and it's live. And we go over to our first story now, to the touch screen. And what's our first story tonight? Our first story is about Tami Okujeto. That's our first story tonight. We will deal with it very quickly. Okay, so viewers, here we are. This is what was published, and we all saw it. And I also get excited when I see people say they have a scandal to report. So I saw this. This is the kitchen scandal drops on Tuesday, 1st August 2023 at 5 a.m. I'm not sure why they were dramatic about 5 a.m. Okay, so what's the story? Okay. Now, do I have the photographs of the actors? So this is Sami Okujeto, the Honourable Member of Parliament for North Tongue. Now, there's another Member of Parliament from Presec. He's another day, so remember that all the time. I think that Sami Okujeto has been either grossly misinformed, or he has not understood. Oh my goodness, I was going to ask for the Article 88. If you can get me Article 88 very quickly, I forgot to tell you. Article 88. We need to outline the role of the Attorney General. You have it. Great. Fantastic. Okay, let me get back Sami Okujeto, and then we'll build up the story. Thank you very much for the constitutional article. All right, so Sami Okujeto, I suspect, knowing what I know about him, that he may have been misinformed, or he and his team have grossly misunderstood the role of the Attorney General. And they've not done enough of the history of the case that they are discussing. Because the case they are discussing has a clear history, and we're going to tell you the history tonight. And we're going to show you the role that the Attorney General played. It would appear also that when you listen to the scandal, the real focus of this scandal is not Gabi Ochiridako, it's not the MPP itself as such. It is Godfrey Dame, the Attorney General. He's the one that Sami Okujeto is looking for. He's looking for Godfrey Dame. You can understand why. they've tried hard with Jachi Kwesi, and Godfrey Dame has gotten a spot on at every stage of the Jachi Kwesi trial. Never mind that Jachi Kwesi won the by-elections, which he did. Congratulations to him. But at every stage of the trial, Godfrey Dame's legal analysis have been correct. And we have been in this country and we have seen that it's not always that the Attorney General wins. The NDC themselves, in 2009, were at pains to complain that the Attorney General of the day, Betty Mould, was losing cases. The Attorney Generals lose cases. Nana Akufo-Addo as Attorney General has lost a case before. So Attorney Generals don't always win. Godfrey Dame has lost some cases to the NDC. But the fact is that on the critical ones, he seems to get it right all the time. And he gets it right in a way that sometimes hurts the NDC. So he's prosecuted at 247, and they say it's a kangaroo trial, is this. But he goes to court and he demonstrates the understanding of the law, the panache, and the circumstance. That makes the judges rule for him. The judges didn't rule for him since he became Attorney General. If you look at his history as a private practicing lawyer, especially his history against Betty Mould as Attorney General, the cases they did together, or they did against each other, Godfrey Dame versus Betty Mould, you can go and check. You'll find about 4 or 5 cases in which Godfrey Dame completely dispatched Betty Mould at the courts. Betty was Attorney General. And Dame defeated her, just dispatched her just like that. And not that Betty Mould is a bad lawyer. Betty Mould is not a bad lawyer. But when the case is bad, it's bad. And Betty had gone to court against Osei and other people. And Dame was the private legal practitioner who dispatched them. So he's had a seasoned practice before he became Attorney General. Everybody at the Bar Association knows that. Now, when he became Attorney General, or since he became Attorney General, right from the vetting, you remember his vetting, the controversy about back and forth with Haruna Idrisu, that the minority leader at the time had to concede to him on a particular point about public procurement law. So a good lawyer is a good lawyer, whether he's Attorney General or not Attorney General, he's a good lawyer, you see. So I'm guessing that the target of this whole Ablakwa thing is about Godfrey Dame, and so we're going to get into that and show you a few things. Okay, let's get back to the story. What is Sammy Okudzeto complaining about? What is the scandal? The scandal is that there is a private company whose name we cannot mention because they're a private company that are doing their business. It's a private company who had a deal, a contract done with the government of Ghana. During the John Mahama era, this private company's deal with the government of Ghana was done and expressed during the John Mahama era. Okay, come the MPP era, difficulties arise with the relationship. And so, as you know, every contract has a termination clause and has an abrogation regime. So the termination and abrogation was exercised and the contract was terminated. Now, this private company were alarmed. They were unhappy with the termination, as I would have been too. So they decided to go back to the contract and bring legal action against government. Okay. So in bringing legal action against government, they hired lawyers to take the legal action. So they went to one law firm first and said, take legal action for us, and we want to sue the government. And then they were told that there's another law firm, African Legal Associates, Gabi Ochedako's law firm, which has seasoned lawyers there. Gabi is not the only lawyer. There are other very serious corporate lawyers there. People who have significant corporate practice. I don't need to mention their names. They are there. So their law firm's conduct of the matter was that when they have a client who wants to sue, they are quick to negotiate. So that's what they do. They are quick to negotiate. And so they told the clients that, listen, you want to sue government, let us negotiate with government and see whether you can see eye to eye. Because you can go to the court and win, but you can also go to the court and lose. So if you're looking for your money, your contract has been terminated, you want to exercise the termination clause and see what can be done. So that's the conversation they had. Now, why was the contract difficult? The contract was difficult for government because it was done in a certain way. Please get me back there, get ready the World Bank story that said that the World Bank guy who said the worst contracts in Ghana was done in the John Mahama time. Get me that story. That's the guy, the World Bank guy, who recently said that. We use the story here. He said the worst contract was done in the John Mahama time. Now, if you look at some of these contracts that was done, it is bad. But that's not our point here. Government is a continuum. So whether it's NDC government or it's MPP government, it's the government of Ghana. So the conduct of an NDC government, it's implied upon an MPP government. The conduct of an MPP government is implied upon a future NDC government. The conduct of an NDC government is implied upon a future CPP government. Government is a continuum, as we learned in political science, didn't we? So when one government does something, it is assumed that the other government has done it. So one government can do, another government can change it. When the aggrieved party thinks that the government owes me, yes, the government owes them. So Samia Ablakwa's allegations are that some deal was cooked in the kitchen You go back to his kitchen thing. Yes, some deal was cooked in a kitchen by Gabriel Chidako, the Africa Legal Associates founder, and he suspects, he ropes in the Attorney General, says that the Attorney General also rendered advice for the money to be paid back to the business entity. That's the allegation. So his allegation is that people sat down and tried to cook some huge sums of millions of cedis to create the impression that government owed this business entity. The Attorney General was part of creating the impression that government owed this entity and that the government has paid or is about to pay this entity, and that is the scandal. That's the kitchen scandal. That's all what it is. Okay, so now let's deal with it one after the other. First of all, as we found out, no money has been paid. No money, that's not even important, but we have to state it. No money has been paid. The Ministry of Finance has not paid anyone. Nothing. Zero. Nothing has happened. It is true that the Attorney General has rendered an opinion on the matter. It is true that Gabriel Chidako represented the business entity. It is all true. And the Attorney General has rendered an opinion 3 times. So now let's get into the details. So these people have a contract with government. Government exercises, and the contract was done in NDC time. Government exercises the termination clause and terminates the contract. These people say that, okay, you've terminated the contract, we are going to court. This is 2021. They're trying to find lawyers to go to court for them. So they're shopping for law firms. They go to one and another. And they end up at Africa Legal. So Africa Legal says that we won't go to court. We don't do that. We will negotiate with you. First of all, let's find out, what is your claim? And they said that, look at the contract we have. This clause in the contract allows us to sue government for this amount of money. Okay, the lawyers look at it and say, this is quite interesting. All right. Then the Ministry of Finance is written to. That Ministry of Finance, you owe this company this amount of money for the termination of the contract and using the equipment, etc., etc. For that reason, they want you to pay them this. Ministry of Finance says, I will not pay a dime. And you see, please get me Ken Ofori-Atta's photograph. People who don't take money from Ministry of Finance don't know. Ken Ofori-Atta is the last person to pay government money. He doesn't pay government money. He will wait and check and check. He doesn't take government money out and pay. Everybody complains about Ken. That, oh, will Ken pay? Do you think Ken will pay? Ken hasn't paid. MPs are complaining. Common Fund hasn't come. Ken Ofori-Atta is that kind of finance minister who is overprotective of the money in front of him. He's paying it little by little. So they write to Ken Ofori-Atta and say that, you, Ken Ofori-Atta and the Ministry of Finance, you owe this company because of this clause that was written in their contract, which was signed in the NDC era. That's why we said charity begins at home. Blackwell should have known that it was his colleague minister who procured that contract. We don't want to mention ministers' names of the past. They were doing their work, and we assume that they did their work faithfully and diligently. If time has come and something shows us is wrong, we do not assume that they were doing something untoward to the Republic. No, we do not assume that they have been unfaithful to the Republic. So we'll not mention their names. But he ought to have known that the people who created this contract are his colleagues in government. He was at education as minister. There were other ministers at other places, and they put this contract together. So that's why we say charity begins at home. Somebody should have known that this contract, he should have gone to the people who put the contract together because they are his colleagues in the same political party. They were in the same cabinet. They put the contract together. The contract that has created a problem is created by them. And the World Bank recently said, having reviewed all the contracts of the Mahama era, this was the worst time, the worst contracts were conducted in the Mahama time. Maybe this is one of them. Anyway, let's move on. So the Ministry of Finance receives a letter and says that you owe this person. Ministry of Finance then writes to the Attorney General and said, Mr. Godfrey Dame, interpret for us this line in this contract and tell us whether as a result of this line, our government owes this person or not. So letter comes to Godfrey Dame. He puts his legal team together. They write in response and tell Minister of Finance that because of the way this contract is written, we think that you do owe the person. However, we don't know how much you owe the person. And Godfrey Dame didn't put a figure to it in all of. We don't think you owe the person. We don't know how much you owe the person. But this clause makes you owe the person. We think that you should negotiate with them explain to them that Ghana is in a crisis. We've had COVID and all that. So this is 2021. We've had COVID and all that. So the government of Ghana cannot pay the amount of money they're looking for. But if they are Ghanaians, which they are, and they are patriotic, they should take a haircut. That word has become synonymous. It's no longer for the Baba anymore. It's now for Parliament and the Ministry of Finance and civil society. Haircuts. So they should take a haircut. That's what he said. Opinion number one. Opinion goes to Ken. Ken and the GRA people decide that we don't want to pay this money. We actually don't have money to pay this. We can't pay. And they are complaining. But why did NDC people do a contract like that? Oh, as for NDC people, look at the contract they did. Now the Attorney General says that we owe the people. What kind of contract is this? I'm wondering why that didn't form part of Sami's analysis. The original thing, where did it originate? You know, as the lawyer said, originating summons. Where did the summons originate? It originated from a contract concluded between the government of John Dramani Mahama and these people. That line in there was not put there by me, you, or Godfrey Dame. It was put there by the NDC people at the time to protect the business interests. Maybe not, we don't know, but it's there. And the lawyer says that with this line here, dear, you owe the people. And that is what he is calling a scandal today. That's what Sami is calling a scandal, viewers. He is calling, can you imagine? So he and his government put a contract together. Make sure that this evening when we're talking, I said, are you sure that they are not working for the people? I don't know. I don't allege anything. I don't know. But really, it's incongruous. You put a contract together. Out of the contract arises difficulties for government, and you say it's a scandal. They are a scandal. They are. I don't get it. Anyway, let's move on. So he writes to Minister of Finance and says that you got to pay them and negotiate with them anyway. Minister of Finance is concerned. We don't want to pay. We won't pay. Since 2021 up till today, the money hasn't been paid. Ministry of Finance is still concerned that they don't want to pay. So what they do? They go back to Attorney General. They said, we are in receipt of your letter, but we still think that we don't owe these people. Can you give us a second interpretation of this clause in the contract? One line. Attorney General says, okay, I'll look at it. He looks at it. He comes to the same conclusion. Writes back to Ministry of Finance and to the Ghana Revenue Authority this time that, please, we have looked at it. We have looked at it. Much as it is bad, this is what was signed. And if we are not careful and the business entity goes to court, we will be like the GPCC one, where we had to pay 113 million to a company because of the contract that they had been entered into. That is why the World Bank says that this NDC administration 13 to 16 had the worst contracts in the whole world. The whole world, the contracts that were signed that time, the World Bank man says it. You can Google it to come. I'll show it to you later on. He said that's the worst contracts. Is this one of them? I don't know. But Dami then says, I still stand where I am. I don't think I can change this opinion. I'm a lawyer. My responsibility is to do so. That's it. Okay. Now, give me Article 88. Let me show viewers why Godfrey Dame is doing that. What is the basis? What's the regime that controls it? Article 88.5. The Attorney General shall be responsible for the institution and conduct of all civil cases on behalf of the state. And all civil proceedings against the state shall be instituted against the Attorney General as the defendant. That is why you hear Tufo versus Attorney General, Martin Amidu versus Attorney General, Paul Ademochi versus Attorney General. Any action you want to take in civil law, which is criminal one is a police one. So any action you want to take in civil law must be instituted against the Attorney General. That is why the Attorney General, who is also the principal legal advisor to the government, that's why they seek his opinion. So the opinion of the Attorney General was sought. Let me have the, Yes, the opinion of the Attorney General was sought pursuant to Article 88. They don't seek the Attorney General's opinion for fun. They don't seek the Attorney General's opinion because he's their friend. They don't seek the Attorney General's opinion because they are happy with him. They seek the Attorney General's opinion because that's the dictates of the 1992 Constitution. That's what it is. The dictates of the 1992 Constitution require you to seek the opinion of the Attorney General because he is the principal legal advisor to the government. And all actions against the government shall be taken against him. So that this company that says they are going to sue, they are going to sue, and it will be then the company, if they call the company X, it will be X. No, forgive me, I'm not Elon Musk. Okay, call the company Y. It will be Y versus the Attorney General. So you go to the Attorney General and say that this matter, where are we? Attorney General says, look, this thing, I can't. Now, because of the nature of the opinion, the Attorney General did not copy the opinion to the lawyers of the company, the Africa Legal Associates. Godfrey Dame did not send the opinion to them, lest they are armed and they think that their client has a case. So he didn't send the opinion to them. Since 2021, today is the first day that they are seeing the opinion, which is largely in favor of their client, because Sami Okujeto published it. Because civil servants have forgotten that they have a code of ethics. Civil servants and the people who work there have forgotten that they have a code of ethics. When we're growing up, when there's a document at Ministry of Finance, lie, you won't get it. You can. They don't do that. Today, they just put it around. So some people at the Ministry of Finance or at the GRA or somewhere got excited, sent the opinion to Sami Okujeto. He has published it. So now the businessman knows that, so this matter, the Attorney General was with me. Because they don't know that the Attorney General wrote it to Ministry of Finance and said, Charlie, these people, you owe them. So please negotiate with them. 2 years, the people don't know that. 2 years they've been on Gabriel Chidako's neck. Are you suing the government? Is it because you are close to government you don't want to sue? And he's asking that, but what did the Attorney General say? They said, we don't know what the Attorney General said. Go and ask your people. And he's been struggling to ask them. So in fact, he wrote a letter, as his law firm showed me, giving the clients 2 more weeks. And the clients are telling in 2 weeks, if you don't sue this government, we will sue them ourselves. Because we came to you, you said we should negotiate. You said Ministry of Finance is asking for the opinion of the Attorney General. 2 years, where is the opinion? Ablakwa has leaked the opinion and now they know. Because they didn't know. That's the way government is conducted. The conduct of the Attorney General and the Ministry of Finance should be congratulated. That they exchanged these letters 2 whole years. Nobody knew it. Today, Sami Okujeto has published it. So now the clients know that, the Attorney General thought that we were right. Okay, then now we'll bring legal action against him. In fact, if a legal action is taken against the Attorney General now, his defense will be on one leg because he has an opinion that says that the clause there said that government will owe them. Why would he be on one leg? Because Sam Okujeto, who is a member of parliament, who probably should have known that it's a confidential communication between the Attorney General and the Minister of Finance. As a member of Parliament, you have rights. You can summon the Minister of Finance to Parliament, and you can conduct an in-camera hearing and get the media out and say, Minister of Finance, have you received this opinion from the Attorney General? That's the way to do it. We don't just come and put something there and say, I don't know whether it's Kisi Ajabin kind of thing. Say, hey, kitchen cabinet scanned at 5 a.m. Member of Parliament, former minister. You can't do that. You can't do that. You're a former minister. You're a member of Parliament. You know that this letter that you have received it in the privileged position as a member of Parliament because somebody has given it to you. You should look at the letter and know that this is confidential. And you have the power to summon the Attorney General. You have the power to summon the Minister of Finance. You have the power to summon the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Governor of the Central Bank. You have the power to summon all of them. But you decide to do it like it's a new movie. The Kumasi movie, they say something 1 and 2. Everything is 1 and 2. Or some Diabolo. It looks like some Diabolo movie coming, like a movie. The kitchen scandal. It drops at 5 a.m. What is this? What is this? Is that how members of Parliament behave? Is that how the Westminster members of Parliament behave? Is that how American Congress? They put a picture. Movie scandal is coming 5 a.m. 5 a.m. when we are asleep, we should wake up and watch a movie called The Kitchen Scandal, and it's by a member of Parliament. Let's get serious in this country. Let's get serious in this country. And let's tell Sami Okujeto that we love him and we love the work he does. This one is a no. Because there's no scandal anywhere anyway. And if you were to look at it, the people who have really created the scandal are his colleagues, whose names we don't want to mention tonight. Because they did their work for government and we assume that they did their work faithfully. So we don't want to mention their names. But if we are talking about a scandal, if we are talking about government coming to the place where there's a problem, it was created by them. And it is being resolved. The one who is resolving the problem, rather, you are calling him bad. It's Godfrey Dame who is resolving the problem. That let's not get into that GPCC thing. These people are Ghanaians. Negotiate with them. And he says it's a scandal. Where is the scandal? Maybe he should come back. Please tell Sami Okujeto that I was responding to his scandal movie 1 and 2. So he should come back on Good Morning Ghana and say something else because we don't understand it. What is he talking about? Your government has written a contract with somebody. They put in the contract, if this contract is terminated, cut off the head of the speaker. Quote and unquote. And then the contract is terminated. And then people come and say that, I want to cut off the head of the speaker. And then they say, hey, how do you say, oh, see my contract? My contract says that if it's terminated, I should cut off the head of the speaker. It's here, read it, it's black and white. They say, okay, let's go to lawyers. Say, no, don't cut off the head of the speaker. Let's discuss it. Okay, leave it to us, we'll discuss. Okay, we'll leave it to you. Then the Commission of Finance, there's something in the clause, the people are saying that they have something there that says, cut off the head of the speaker. Can you check with the Attorney General? Ministry of Finance writes to Attorney General, can you give us an opinion on this line about cutting the head of the speaker? Attorney General says, I've looked at it. It is correct. They will have to cut off the head of the speaker because that's the contract that our people negotiated. Our people, Samuel Kujeto and his government, this is the contract they negotiated. That's why World Bank says it's a bad contract. That a lot of the contracts they did are bad. World Bank said it, I didn't say it. World Bank said a lot of the contracts were terrible. Now, this is what it is. So, please, if you don't want them to cut the head of the speaker, please negotiate with them. But that doesn't tell the clients that this is it. So, what does he do? He calls a meeting in his office. I'm telling you more. He calls a meeting in his office. He chairs the meeting. Ministry of Finance is there. Ghana Revenue Authority is there. The clients are there. 2 meetings, I believe. And he tells them that, look, all of you, you have to go and negotiate. I think you should negotiate this matter. So if you negotiate it and you're happy with it, you can come back to me. We adopt it as a sort of settlement, and then we can deal with it. How is this bad? How is that bad? How is that scandal? How is that corruption? How is that wrong? I don't even get it. Then they are doing it at 5 a.m. It's kitchen scandal. They put some wolf there. It's kitchen scandal, 5 a.m. Film. So by virtue of the youthful exuberance of Uncle Sammy, today, the opinion of the Attorney General, which is confidential, he has published it. And the other party know that, oh, so this Attorney General's opinion we're looking for, it wasn't coming, we never saw it. It was in our favor. Hey, then we are in business. That is why some people were asking when I do the production meeting, but who is he working for? This is scandal. Is it? We should look at it well. Who is he working for? Because you are leaking information that the people don't have. And you get it because you're a privileged member of parliament and somebody thinks that you are good at revealing scandals, so he brings it to you. But you should know that as soon as you receive it, that you can write a letter, you have a letterhead, member of parliament, North Tongue, you have a letterhead, office of parliament, and write, dear honorable finance minister, it has come to my attention that you have received opinion dated A, B, C, D from the learned Attorney General. It's an opinion relating to so and so and so. I will be happy if you can give me the details of this matter as I want to make a contribution on the floor of the House about this. Send a letter to the Minister of Finance. That's what you do. Then you write to Attorney General. Learned Attorney General, Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for Norton. Learned Attorney General, please find attached a letter that I have written to the Minister of Finance. You may also give me the opinion as you render to them because I need this information to make a presentation before the House. Is that not what you do, dignified as a member of parliament? Do you come and put, what is it, scandal, Tuesday, 1st August, 5 a.m. is dropping. Are you doing a film? Are you doing a movie? Are you a film star? I don't know why these days some of our people, I think the social media thing is worrying us, especially those who are much younger. The social media thing is worrying us. We want to compete with Delay. We want to compete with Jackie Appiah. I want to compete with Adjoa Schwarzenegger. You can't do that. You're a member of parliament. You are doing your work. They are great at what they do. They're entertainers. They are doing their work. They have to, they are you and all those. That is a scandal movie. People should wake up at 5 a.m. and come and watch. Okujeto is going to reveal some scandal. And all he's doing is that he's showing confidential documents that the client ought not to see. Because you are government. The client is fighting government. Okujeto is a member of parliament. He's one of the important arms of government. They call it 3 arms of government. They don't call it 3 arms of the executive, 3 arms of government. So he's government. From the second arm, the parliament, speaker calls himself number 3. For that reason, there are 3 arms of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. 3 arms of government. So you are government. So you get a letter that has been exchanged between 2 government agencies and you publish it in a movie that is showing at 5 a.m. And now, Gabi Achidako is happy because he says, oh, so this opinion that they have hidden from us, apparently, Dami wrote that we have a case. And they are not telling us. Now we know. Now the client has the document. So what is he saying? Where is the scandal? That Godfrey Dame wrote an opinion so that they will go and share some money. Maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe. Because we know Martin Amidu has ever gone to court against some of the judgments that were paid under Samuel Kuyeto. We know that Martin Amidu has done that. We know. So maybe there was a group of politicians before who used to do that. So they will look at this, they call Dominic Ayini and they call Bassett and something. I don't know. But maybe there is something like that. So they are thinking that everybody is doing that. So that's what maybe they were doing. They take a company and say, come, government doesn't owe you, but say the government owes you, then write a letter, then we collect the money and share. Maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. But that is why he would think. That's the only way. That's why I started by saying that either he's been giving wrong information or they didn't understand the role of the Attorney General. They have not understood it. They have not verified it. And Article 88 of the Republican Constitution is there. The role of the Attorney General is very straightforward. Now, they are concerned about this Attorney General because he's been quite direct in his court practice about the NDC. And he's recently had exchange of words with Mr. Chikata and all of that. And somehow they are not happy with this Jachi Kwesin, Ato Forsen, Collins Dauda. And he's prosecuting. And they are worried that the way in which he's conducting the case, he may succeed. And if he succeeds, it will be a heavy blow. So I think this whole political charade is just so that a certain credibility is taken away from Godfrey. I mean, in this country, for people to take away post credit, we have to say corruption. The NDC is going to 2024. John Mahama versus Alan Chemartin, or John Mahama versus Dr. Baumia, or John Mahama versus Kennedy Japan. With all of them, the corruption thing is a big issue. A lot of corruption is still hanging against the former president, whether right or wrong, I don't know. But it's still hanging against him. They need to put one on the MPP candidate. There's a Cecilia Dapaah and all of that is there. But it has to stick on the candidate. It has to stick his skin. It's not coming. So I think every day they are looking for something. So if we don't get him, let's get the Attorney General. Yeah, this is not corruption, Sammy. This is not corruption. So the Attorney General is saving government the money. He is telling government that if these people go to court and they sue, I will not be able to defend it properly because the clause there is against me. So, Chief, negotiate with them. 2 years on the card, 2 whole years. The negotiations haven't happened. The Attorney General said they should negotiate. He said it more than once. He said some a year ago, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. He said it. But the negotiations have still not occurred because the Ministry of Finance, led by Ken Ofori-Atta, is adamant to pay any money to anybody. They are tired of these inherited payments they have to make. They pay, they are paying, they are tired. So Ken Ofori-Atta doesn't want to pay. The Attorney General has given his advice. It's up to the Minister of Finance to implement. Minister of Finance says, I won't implement. Now, from what Sami is saying, if it was that kind of deal he's saying, it is cooked. It's cooked by Gabi in the kitchen, and Godfrey is involved, and by now they would have paid the money. But the first opinion he rendered, they would have paid. If it is what he wants us to believe it is, it's some scandal, they are cooking some scandal, they would have paid the money by now. But they haven't paid the money till today. It hasn't been paid. The opinion has been rendered 3 times because he's been asked 3 times. Because the Ministry of Finance has tried hard to get him to change his opinion. Godfrey Ablakwa publishes letters by Eva Menz, the chief director. Now, those letters that he's publishing by Eva Menz actually demonstrate that the government is protecting the government purse. Eva Menz says, go back to the Attorney General. Attorney General has already rendered his opinion. They are asking Eva Menz, the chief director says, Attorney General, tell us something new. Attorney General says, I have nothing new to say, Charlie. As for this clause in the contract, Charlie, we are out. You have to pay the person. But now you can negotiate with the person so you don't pay as much. But that is the proper thing to do. That's the legal brain talking. I'm not sure why Samuel Kuyeto is calling this a scandal that we have to wake up at 5 o'clock to watch. Okay, let's take Godfrey Dame now. Let's take Godfrey Dame alone. And let's look at the things he's been doing relating to the public purse. Let's have a look at that. Go back and let me get that. Do I have it? No, let me get the Godfrey Dame list of cases and things that he has done, including what was reported in today's graphic. It was reported in today's graphic. Now, this is it. This is instances of the Attorney General saving the states from financial loss. There was a claim by NDK Financial Services, and he got the Supreme Court to overturn NDK's 1.2 billion Ghana cedi judgment. NDK, a Ghanaian company, good Ghanaian company I should say, had gone to court. They felt that some abrogation of contract occasioned them 1.2 billion. Godfrey Dami looked at it and said, no, we can't pay that 1.2 billion. It's not true. I don't think they have the case. He went to the Supreme Court and he got overturned. So Ghana saved 1.2 billion because of his legal skills. That's why he's employed. That's why we pay him. That's what he saved. 1.2 billion. In Malaysia, when Lee Kuan Yew was there, if you're a minister and you do something, he gives you 10%. That's Malaysia. You overcome your target, he gives you 10%. Read Lee Kuan Yew's book, From First World to Third World. It's there. If this was Malaysia, Godfrey Dami will be getting 102 million. Yeah, Charlie, that guy is gone. No? But this is what he did. He went to court and saved the state 1.2 billion under NDK. This is the guy, Samuel Okujeto wants us to think that he sits down and he's cooking something to eat, and somebody's in the kitchen and he's cooking. And where did the ingredients come from? The ingredients came from the NDC cabinet. He should know that. He should know that. Let's look at this. It is another company called Cassius Mining Limited. Now, he got an international tribunal to prevent Ghana from paying $300 million claimed by a mining firm, Cassius Mining Company Limited, after the mining firm resorted to another international tribunal. Yesterday, he obtained an order from the High Court restraining Australian-owned mining firm from proceeding on international arbitration, as the agreement with government of Ghana permitted only domestic arbitration. This is 300 million saved. 300 million. Let's look at this. Every way. He won the arbitration against the Chinese company Beijing Every Way, in which the company was suing Ghana for 60 million. So I called the Office of the Attorney General today and I said, can you send me the list of the monies that you have saved in Ghana? The Attorney General himself is not in town, they said. Send me the list of, and this is what they sent to me. And I told my people, this is what they've sent, so let's verify it. So they went on, came back to me at 7 o'clock and said, verified, correct. We can go with it. So this is it. This Attorney General that they want to say he sat down and cooked something with Gabi. This is the work the Attorney General has been doing. Heritage Imperial, we all know that one. That one has a lot to do with Metro TV. Randy Abbey was on News File and he said, Heritage Imperial have gotten 15 million. Godfrey Dami was listening at home. He was Deputy Attorney General. He told his people, let's go to Kumasi. Called for the court to come, and the Heritage Imperial 15.8 million was overturned. It was overturned. So politics is a very interesting game, you see. When you are fighting somebody, this one, ENI, currently, Godfrey Dami is in Paris doing the ENI thing, because they are ongoing. I can't say what is happening. I don't know. When they come, they'll tell us. But the Ministry of Energy and the Attorney General's Department, they are all in Paris negotiating a claim that ENI is having with Ghana. They are arbitrating a claim that ENI is taking against Ghana. And that's very interesting. When they come, we will tell you the parties that are involved in this matter. You hear all that. Don't worry. Ask for the information. We'll give it to you. You hear all that. So this is the story. Viewers, this is the story. Now, please send me your text messages and tell me who is right and who is wrong. Samuel Okujeto says that Gabriel Chiridako has organized for some company whose contract has been terminated by MPP government, a contract from NDC terminated by MPP, and that's why people think that, where is Sami standing on this matter? Where does he stand? Is he working for the people? Is it because the contract? We don't understand it, because the kinds of things he's saying is only going to strengthen the hand of the client, of the company, because they now know that Attorney General had issued a confidential opinion in their favor. And the opinion was confidential to the Ministry of Finance. But today, Samuel Okujeto has published it. So why did he publish it? Is it, I don't know. Is it something going on that we should understand? Is there something going on we should understand? Maybe there's something going on we should understand. Because Samuel Okujeto is a clever man. He's a very clever man. He's not going to put out these things like that. So maybe, I don't know. But the point is totally flawed, completely flawed. You can't claim that Attorney General was involved in corruption on this matter. Neither can you claim that Gabriel Chiridako was involved in corruption on this matter. That the law firm that told the people, don't go to courts, don't sue government. Let's get Ministry of Finance to understand it. And to Ministry of Finance, we have some people who are saying this. Ministry of Finance says, well, we'll talk to the Attorney General. The right Attorney General says, yes, you owe the people, you do, because of this clause. Meetings are conducted, opinion comes again. Ministry of Finance, Attorney General, change your opinion. He says, no, I can't change it. Ministry of Finance is resisting to pay the money. So where is the create, loot and share? If it's create, loot and share, Ministry of Finance would have paid the money already. So when you come with a story and say that, as soon as the letter hit Ministry of Finance, within 2 hours, the money was paid, then we are putting something together. But this is 2 whole calendar years, 24 months past, and the Ministry of Finance is refusing to pay the money. So what are you talking about, Honorable Member of Parliament? What are you saying? Apart from recklessly leaking confidential government information, which a member of parliament should not do, you are strengthening the hand of the opponent against a government of which you are a part, at least because you are part of the Legislative Assembly. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But this is what he's calling scandal that we should wake up at 5 a.m. to watch. Scandal, TV, videos, film. We should get popcorn and Coca-Cola or something, Sprite and Fanta and Pepsi and get all the drinks and Malta Guinness and something and this way chocolate drink. We should get this way chocolate drink and sit down there and be drinking it and watching his scandal of 5 a.m. A member of parliament who knows that these documents I'm getting are confidential government documents, and then you publish it to strengthen the arm of somebody who is suing or wants to sue or has a case against government as a result of a contract that was created by your own people. Should we name the ministers who signed the contract tonight? We will not do that. We will not descend into those places. It's not proper. There are people who work for government. They are ministers of state. They work for government. We assume that they work with fidelity until it is proven otherwise. That's the assumption we make. So we're not going to sit here and put their photograph and say, this one signed this one. But you, Akujetu, you know who signed these contracts. You know it. You know who drafted these contracts. You know which Attorney General drafted these contracts. You know it. You know why they put a clause in there to weaken the arm of government in terms of a termination. You should know it. And then because you are looking for Godfrey Dami on his proceedings in court, and you come and say it's Godfrey Dami who has done. Godfrey Dami is on save the country. Please, viewers, add all the money. Add the 600 million to the this, to the this, to the that. It's interesting, isn't it? Anyway, let's take the text messages. I have one coming in. Hey, I have two text messages on Blackboard that I'll read. Okay. I hope you're ready. Hey, don't tell me you're not ready. All right. So let's take the text messages on this one. And then Cecilia Dapaah story is next. Don't go nowhere. It's 3 minutes past 10 o'clock. It's a big story coming up. Okay, let's hear you. What are people saying?
All right. So John says, keep the good work up, Paul. You are the finest journalist in Ghana. J. Larry says, I am here for Derek of Junior. So there are some fans in the house for Derek. Omar says, good evening, Paul. In fact, it has been a long time I contributed to your show, but I am back. My name is Amidu, inside the University of Education, Winneba.
Okay, Wisdom Kojo says, but why didn't the Attorney General give this advice before the contract was cancelled? Junior Akbar, watching us from Tamala, says, the NDC are desperate for power, but they will not take their time to understand issues before taking action. This really shows that when we make mistakes and bring them back to power, they will continue to rush and put Ghana into trouble. No to the NDC. Musa Kabu says, in fact, Good Evening Ghana remains most viewed program on Facebook. Frank Abib says, Sir Paul, your fans are many. Your program stirs the demons in those who are allergic to fact. Thank you for helping to dispel falsehood from our body politics. Watching you live from London. And lastly, Akoto Emmanuel Ado. He says, Papa Paul, thank you very much for your in-depth analysis of information. In fact, what Sam Okujetu did at Legon, what did Sam Okujetu do at Legon when the late Professor Mills intervened before his certificate could be released to him? Hey, Anastasia.
All right, thank you. So coming from George Owusu-Ansah, he says, Paul, good evening to you and your crew. Indeed, you are really impeccable, immaculate, and very intelligent. Watching you from Modena, Italy. From Isaac Oben, he says, if we don't amend our constitution to meet current and the future, and the future from now, these things will continue to happen. Lastly, coming from Kwame Ofori, this is a very interesting one. He says, the client is fighting government with the brother of the president of the government. There may not be any scandal, but it's morally wrong for Gabi to be representing people who has issues with the government. First was the Galamsey issue with Professor Boateng. While the state was fighting Galamsey, Gabi was fighting the state as a lawyer. That's an interesting opinion. Yes, let's take from Michelangelo.
It's interesting. Okay. This one, is somebody is very brutal on Sammy, and he's sending it to me. He says, hi, Paul. Your friend Sammy Okujeto Ablakwa is one of the elite residents at Airport Hills, or is it Chain Homes? He put it in paragraph. So, 2, he left university and went straight into politics. He appears to have done very, very well for himself. how much was his salary from the time he entered politics to be able to acquire a home at where he lives at Airport Hills? Or is it? But the guy doesn't know whether Samuel lives at Airport Hills or Chain Homes. So anytime he says airports, he says /Chain Homes. Okay. As deputy minister, he, according to Mills Attorney General, put a lot of pressure on the Attorney General to favor judgment debt in favor of those suing the government in which he served. Okay, I don't know about that one. Number 4, he seems to have a problem with the Attorney General, especially Godfrey Dame. I don't know why. Well, I kind of guess so too. His case against Africa Legal Association is laughable. He described demands letters by a law firm in favor of a client as a scandal. Oh, did Sami say a demand letter is a scandal? Okay, 6. Would it have mattered if the lawyer making the demand was not Gabi? He has records of all demand letters from lawyers on behalf of clients. Has those demand letters since April 2021 yielded any results for the client? That's the point I'm making, that in this matter, no money has been paid. Ken Ofori-Atta has refused to pay. So if it's kitchen cabinet and it's creates loot and share, they would have paid by now. Has Ministry of Finance or GIA paid even a peswa from the demands made by the African Legal Associates, even with the Attorney General's opinion? So where is the scandal? Is Gabi that powerful that is Gabi that powerful then? It is even a scandal over 2 years. He has not been able to get Ministry of Finance to pay. Well, that's the point he's making. I think this guy is Gabi's friend. What Ablakwa has done is to deliver a beast of a weapon to the clients and to Gabi's law firm. That's interesting. Okay, this one. Another one comes and says that, Paul, did you recognize that Gabi Ochidaku was the same lawyer for Heritage Imperial, the company that Godfrey Dame overturned their 15.8 million cedi judgment? They won the damages and Godfrey Dame overturned it, but they were represented by Gabi. So does Ablakwa know that Gabi doesn't always win? Okay. All right. So what do you have, Mikhail?
Right. So Sir Bright Washing of Santantra Hill sends a shot of a communication from the Office of the President dated 2015. He says that President Mahama instructed the Finance Ministry to give the contract to West Blue. Moving on. Joe Dakota says, Ogotudu Ablakwa is now behaving as if he's surrounded by an armor of superiority. His diabolic agenda to dent the image of the government with unsubstantiated scandals is exposing his... I'm not repeating this. Hamid from WA says, please, Paul, why was the contract terminated? You don't think the whole problem emanated from the termination of the contract? And the Saki from Kumasi says, thanks for information, education, and explanation, always on important issues in Ghana. Kitchen scandal indeed. I hope the Honorable MP still remembers his pressure on Martin Amidu to pay Woyome in the prosecution described by the bench as create, loot, and share. Maxwell from North Legon says, Honorable Okujetu Ablakwa is working clandestinely for that company. They gave this company the contract. They know with that clause in the contract, any abrogation would trigger this payment. He's doing the bidding of this company under the guise of a scandal. Now that the company knows the position of the AG, they'll have the upper hand in the negotiations. My only disappointment with this whole scandal is why the AG's opinion was not sought before abrogating the contract. Yeah, and
somebody sending me a text says, Paul, I am a lawyer and I practice at the court regularly. I think you are getting something wrong. The client, he writes their name, I know who they are, but I just want to mention that. The client is not suing government for the termination. It is suing government for the work that they have already done. That says that anytime a contract is terminated, their work must be paid for times a certain percentage. So they are not suing for the termination. Okay. There's no problem with the termination, so they really cannot sue for the termination. They are saying that having been terminated, they have done some work, and they have to be paid times something which is in the contract. I'm guessing that's the one you read that Godfrey Dame interpreted. Yes, Godfrey Dame's request was to interpret a certain line. I don't know what the line yet is. It's going to come, but the details of it is that the line suggests that the people should earn some money. Okay, so viewers, let me correct that. They are not suing, the company that I refer to is not suing for termination. So that the question about why didn't Godfrey advise for the termination is not quite relevant, because they are not suing for termination. Termination they agree with. They are suing for work that they have done that the government has not paid, but they have to be paid times a certain percentage, and that's why Ken Ofori-Atta is resistant that if they have done this work, why should they be paid times percentage? And Godfrey Dame says it was in the contract. Our people signed it. Which people signed it? Ablakwa people signed it. So that's where we are. Okay. Time is running now. People are texting me that where is the Cecilia Dapaah story? So the Cecilia Dapaah story is coming up. What we have tonight is the advice that the Attorney General has rendered to the CID in the conduct of the Cecilia Dapaah investigations. Okay, so let's take a short break right now. Sorry, viewers, I need to do this. Let's take a short break right now. When we come back after 5 minutes, we will run into the Cecilia Dapaah story. Later tonight, Al-Hassan Bello will tell us why West Africa sub-region is burning again on security matters. We'll be right back.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say. But as humans, aging and physical infirmity stands our way of enjoying our mansions and homes. It often becomes challenging, if not impossible, to use our stairways day in, day out. With portable American pneumatic vacuum elevators, PVs, you are assured of unlimited enjoyment of your mansions and homes. It's a self-supported elevator for vertical movement of humans and goods at homes and offices. The original comes in 3 custom-made models with wheelchair accessibility. Call it luxury, but it's a necessary imperative for vertical mobility. Do not let aging or infirmity limit you. Get one for your easy vertical mobility at home. It's affordable and can be installed in just 3 days without modification to your existing building. It's however easier to incorporate it at the construction stage. We also have traditional Fuji elevators and escalators for your high-rise buildings and malls. Visit Lifts and Elevators Company Limited at Sakumono for your elevators nationwide. For free consultation to call or WhatsApp us on 0200-535-515. Lifts and Elevators, the elevator people.
Betway is your gateway to a theme park full of gaming excitement. A whirlpool of wonder where your favorite games come to life. Where you can take to the skies with max payouts that reach into the millions. All in the palm of your hand. Visit betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Bet responsibly. Betway. Bet your way.
JA Plant Food Ghana Limited has introduced the all-new Jeto X70 Plus to the market. Jeto X70 Plus is a modern, spacious family SUV with a stylish design, advanced technology, and outstanding quality that promises you luxury with affordability. Jeto X70 Plus comes with an exceptional engine warranty of 4 years or 100,000 kilometers.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302-540-668 or 0501-678-547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
My son, there's more blessing in giving than receiving. When you fear for you and cover the makers in Sran.
the pneumatological aberration of the Lord revealed unto me this night, that me and my household should go out into the world and bless the world.
Makers Electronics Company Limited, up to 67% discount. Our selected appliances.
This is what I call quintessential immaculatability.
The Makers Electronics Company Limited. Taifa Burkina Highway. Amasama Zongo Junction. At the K Pharmacy Dining. Oyer Fateman Boga Junction. Ashaman Valco Flat. Kumasi. Ahinema Kokobin. Asafu Bwachi Hospital Junction. Sakrani. Kuma. Number 9 Market.
So and tell mom and dad about the Makers Blessing Attack program.
From 0552 222 253 and 0552 222 254. Terms and conditions apply.
Back to the show, and let me take an LPM here, viewers, as we get to the next important story. We still have a lot of messages on the Ablakwa matter, so we're going to read them. But this is from the Makers Electronics Company. It's the Makers Electronics Blessing Attack promo. Rush to the Makers Electronics Company Limited for up to 67% discount. That's amazing. 67% discount. Okay, quality affordable with 2 years manufacturer defect warranty. Visit our showrooms. Their showrooms are in Taifa Burkina Highway, Amasaman Zongo Junction, Oyarifa Teman Boga Junction, Kaswa New Market, Ashaman Valco Flat, Kumasi Ahinima Kokobin, Takrade Ifie Kuma number 9 Market. And you can call them on 055 52s, 055 52s and 53, 055 2222225 and 53, or 055 2222225s and 54. That's simple. 53 or 54, 055 52s. And you get them at Taifa and all of those places. Okay, it's 19 minutes past the top of the hour. At 10 o'clock, what do we have on the Ablakwa story? Let's get the last set of text. I have two more to read as well. What do you get?
All right. So Samson Taba says, we're expecting you and Ablakwa on Friday, 4th August at Commonwealth at this year's Jamboree. I think that is a program that happens at Commonwealth every year. Daniel says, hi, Paul Ochre. I think providing the basis or reasons for the contract termination is a key ingredient in this abusing Akujoto's mind that nothing was cooked. I think that Paul already explained that the termination is not what is in contention in the case today. And lastly, Nana Akwesi says, I think Paul should invite Samuel. Thursday is still available. Ablakwa should be interviewed to justify why he thinks this is a supposed scandal.
Okay. Nate Washington says, kudos, Paul. The only show I stayed up all night to watch. Thanks for tuning in. Emmanuel Opoku Anoche says, very ionic from the NDC to set up such a propaganda of which they are good at. But the title of the scandal itself doesn't make sense. They should know if it's a kitchen scandal, then the NDC should know that they are going into the kitchen, and he adds a laughing emoji. Samuel Afrifa says, Samuel Okujetu Ablakwa wants to be vice president to Mahama. That is why he wants to be in the news. And Inshiraba Anelka says, deep knowledge and fantastic analysis from you, Paul. Nothing is cooking in the kitchen, Ampa. Kindly tell us the news in that childish and bogus contract. And then Anastasia.
From Jacob Breakthrough Akusu, he says, son of man, God bless you for exposing this gang parading as government for God and country. From Kessis Drake, he says, good evening, Paul. Let Derek Ofer Jr. know that his whole family is seated in comfort, watching him with love. Coming from Ibn Bayan, he says, I always wait to hear Paul's side of the story before making my conclusions. Thank you, the journalist. Yes, to you, Michelangelo.
Somebody sent a text to me. It doesn't write his name. His number is 199. He says, My name is the home of politics. Hey. And he has a title. Ablakwa begged me to pay 1.3 million, Martin Amidu. Former Attorney General Martin Amidu yesterday gave a rare insight into the latest judgment debt debacle when he recalled how Deputy Minister of Information, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, pleaded with him through a telephone call to pay an amount of 1.3 million to a petitioner even when the case was still in court. Honorable Okudzeto spoke to me when I was in my office to pay this money. I told him that I won't even if he knew the people. Mr. Amidu said, adding, he, Ablakwa, called me to say why he didn't we pay the money to Isofoton, why he wanted us to pay the money to Isofoton as far as I am concerned. His intervention yesterday on Oman FM came when the demand for a judgment debt by a foreign company, Isofoton, has joined the litany of other politicized debt in the country in a cacophonous manner. Interestingly, Okudzeto Ablakwa is the lead advocate for the payment of money to Isofoton, a Spanish company, claiming that its contract with the state was wrongly abrogated. Mr. Ablakwa broke the Isofoton judgment debt issue on Joy FM's News File program last Saturday, saying that some past government officials, particularly the former Chief of Staff Kojo Mpianim, could be held liable for causing financial loss to the state. However, unknown to Ghanaians, the Deputy Minister had been fronting for Isofoton with calls to the ministers to pay the alleged judgment debt of 1.3 million. Deputy Minister confirmed, speaking to Martin Amidu when he was asked by a radio station. He who lives in a glass house, they say don't throw stones to this. Now people are sending me text. They say that you were calling Martin Amidu that some people should, a judgment debt of 1.4 million should be paid. You were calling Martin Amidu. Martin Amidu says the case had not even ended. The people had filed a petition. You were insisting that they should be paid. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I don't know whether you did something wrong. But I'm just saying that when we work in government and in politics, let's do fidelity to politics and let's do fidelity to the truth. The point you are making about a scandal is not a scandal. It's from nowhere. Now people are beginning to speculate that what is your real role in this matter? What role are you preferring for yourself? Are you actually doing this to support the company that was the friend of your party at the time they entered into a contract? Maybe they were a friend, maybe they were not your friend. But is that what you are doing? Are you doing this so that they can get their money? You know. So, but when you want to target your political opponents, it's free. You can target, but target them well. You want to target Godfrey, I mean, you can target him. No problem about it. But don't say things that don't add up. That one, I'm here. My work is that. I'm a news reporter, right wing. So, 23 minutes while I talk about that at 10 o'clock. Everyone is waiting for the Cecilia Dapaah story. Such an interesting story that we cannot keep you waiting anymore. I will now trek slowly to the touchscreen and we will deliver it for you. You know that what you're about to hear, you have not heard it from anywhere. This comes only from us because we do good research. Okay. Good evening again. Auntie Cecilia, where is the Angwamo? There she is. And her husband. Okay. So we have now laid hands from our police sources, the document that Attorney General has sent to them. We have summarized the Attorney General's advice. In the document, the Attorney General recounts the story. In the advice that Attorney General sends to the CID, he recounts the story. So for the first part of our presentation, we are going to recount the story with photographs and graphics so that you can understand and follow well. When the graphics are done, we will then focus on the advice that Attorney General rendered to the CID in how to conduct these investigations. Thank you very much and follow us now. So these are the protagonists, Cecilia Dapaah and her husband. Now, these are, yeah, okay, that's fine. Let's go move to the next one. Shall I? Okay, let's get to the next one, the accused persons. Great, thank you. So this is how we have presented the accused persons, viewers, so that you can understand in the graphics way that we're going to do it. So can you put that on the TV for them to see, then it's clear. So as I walk through, perfect. So viewers, as you see it, please take Good Evening Ghana office. This is obstructed. Okay, thank you. Viewers, as you see it, Patience Bochwe to the left of your screen is a house help and the first accused. Sarah Eje is also a house help and the second accused. Benjamin Sowa is the current boyfriend of Patience Bochwe. Please don't get confused though. Benjamin Sowa, he is the current boyfriend of the first one, Patience Bochwe. Okay. Next to Benjamin Sowa is Kweku Bochwe. Kweku Bochwe is the father of Patience Bochwe. And then the last one, he is the real McCoy. He's called Malik Dauda. He is the former boyfriend of Patience Bochwe and an employee of Cecilia Dapaah's husband, Osei Kufuor. So I think now we get who we are dealing with. These are the people we are dealing with. Maabna is Patience Bochwe, house help, number one. Sarah Ejay, 18-year-old, house help number 2. Benjamin Soa, Patience Boche, Marbenes' current boyfriend. Kweku Boche, Marbenes' father. And Dauda, Marbenes' ex-boyfriend. Now, one more thing to tell you before you go on. It's in the document. But Cecilia Dapaah also told me this. Now, Patience Boche is unknown to Cecilia Dapaah and her husband. They don't know her. They know Dauda, who works for Cecilia Dapaah's husband. Dauda comes to them one day and says that, my mother and my father have a problem. What is the problem? I have gone into a woman who is at JSS, and she says she's pregnant. She's called Patience Boche. This is the problem I have. And they say, hey, she's pregnant? Yes, she's pregnant. She's a small girl, JSS. And I have made her pregnant. And they say, but Dauda, how much resources do you command that you're going to be able to look after a child? So you know what you want to do? You know what we'll do for you? Go and bring your baby mama, who is still pregnant, to come and live with us. And she will work here 3 times a week, so we can give her some money, and it can help the child. This is very interesting, and it will be very painful to the couple. Dauda goes on a frolic of his own to go and impregnate Patience. Patience is pregnant. Dauda is concerned. Dauda has such a good relationship with his boss, Cecilia Dapaah, and her husband, that he's able to confide in them that I'm in trouble, I've impregnated somebody. And they said, oh, Dauda, don't worry. Go and bring her to come and work here. She'll work 3 times a week. So that's her. And then Mabna is a regular 18-year-old maidservant who lives permanently with them. But she comes 3 times a week. As she starts the work, though, and as she has the child now, she has stopped with this man, Dauda. Patience and Dauda have stopped. Patience is now dating Benji Bensoa. He's the one that Patience is dating now. I don't know whether Benji knows that Patience's child is by Dauda, who is also working in the same place as Patience works. I don't know whether he knows, but Benji is the key guy now. He's the one driving the Mercedes. Okay, all right, let's move on. So this is how we get on next. What was the total money applied to? Patience Boche here is house help, and Benjamin Soa is his current boyfriend. Yeah? Okay. Patience Boche goes to rent this 4-bedroom apartment as part of the booty that she stole from Cecilia Dapaah's house. This 4-bedroom apartment is taken. Then she buys a Hyundai Elantra, nice one. Benjamin on his part buys Honda Civic, great, and he keeps $10,000. It's painful, it's funny, it's interesting, and it's a lesson. Okay, but what we want to do here is tell you the truth. We don't know whether somebody stole the money. We are not interested. When the story breaks, as news reporters, we give you the story. And you haven't seen this anywhere, have you? Everybody saying that's why we are there is a thief. Yeah, they should say that. As they say, Hitler will do his worst, but we will do our best. This is our work. We'll show you the thing, you make your decision. So this is how the thing has been distributed. Patience Boche Mabna now has rented a 4-bedroom house, $4,000 a month. She paid down payment. She paid for a year, but the rent, advance. She's driving a Hyundai Elantra, Honda Civic, and $10,000 for Benjamin. Let's move on. What else happens? Okay. Patience Boche now is alleged to be keeping a bag that contains 200,000 United States dollars. That bag, this is what she's keeping. That's what's alleged. Sarah Ejay, on the other hand, 18-year-old, is keeping a bag that contains 200,000 Ghana cedis. She's keeping it. It's a bag that contains 200,000 Ghana cedis. 18-year-old, 200,000 cash, boom, standard, you know. And Patience is keeping, in addition to the house and the car, is keeping a bag that has $200,000. All right, let's move on. Okay, this is still Patience Boche, who has rented the apartment already. But she now rents a shop, still in Tamale. She rents a shop. Then she gives her father 50,000 cedis. This is her father, Kweku Boche. She gives her father 50,000 cedis. And then she gives her sister, named Lariba Ali. We are not sure why she is Patience Boche, father is Kweku Boche, and her sister is Lariba Ali. Maybe sister from another mother or another father, I'm not sure. Anyway, so she gives her sister, Lariba Ali, 20,000 Ghana cedis. So this is how the money is being expended. Yeah, let's move on. Sarah Ejay, the 18-year-old, with the money that she gets, she purchased land at Kaswa for 17,000 and is building on it. And then she's bought a home It's alleged against her by the prosecution that she's bought a home at Blue Rose Estate at Buduburam. She denies that claim. And on the document, she denies the claim. So no issues here. She denies the claim. All right. Malik Dauda, who is former boyfriend of Patience and employee of Oseko 4, used the money he got to go and complete his house at Bolgatanga. I love Malik, man. Now, he impregnated a lady. They told my boss, I've impregnated a lady. I beg you. She's a young girl. I don't know what to do. Oh, go and bring her home. Bring her. She can work 3 times a week. We pay her some money. And then the two of them come together and then they do the action. And then he's in Bolgatanga and Charlie. The guy has completed his nice, beautiful house. He's completed it. He's staying in Bolgatanga. He has DSTV. He's watching Manchester United. Then he's drinking this and that. He's just enjoying himself. Malik Dauda. Okay. Now, this is Cecilia Dapaah. Let's assume this is Cecilia Dapaah's house. Let's get to the story as reported in the Attorney General's advice in terms of how the person was found. So, Cecilia Dapaah is busy doing sanitation work all over the place. And she's away. Her husband travels to Achimota early in the morning. That guy is strong, man. Over 80 years old. He's going to Achimota early in the morning. He says he has to go to Achimota. And the reason why he's going to Achimota changes. So he's coming back home. So he's not expected at home at the time. He comes home and in entering his bedroom, this is what happens. He enters the bedroom and this is Patience Butchie sitting behind the door. He notices that there's somebody behind the door. He enters and it's Patience Butchie who is there just holding dollar, seeing that Dada is standing behind me. What do I do with the dollar? Where did you get the money from? Dauda said, this said, that said, that said, and that's the story that we are unraveling right now. So this is the scene as described by Mr. Osei for the famous architect of what he saw when he came accidentally from Achimota, because they knew the money was there. Now we're going to go into the details of the money and what the advisor that Attorney General has given the CID. But this is what he saw. This is how we depict it for you. So this is Mr. Osei and that's the young woman who came to the house only because she had a baby with somebody who worked there, and the parents of the house thought that if you have had a baby with a woman and you can't look after her, let her come and work here for 3 days and then you can deal with it. And then they're together, and then she's found then clutching onto so much money which is in the house. Okay, so let's get now to the Attorney General's advice in what we've summarized. What did the Attorney General tell the CID? It's as follows. Attorney General's advice starts from here. He says, Cecilia Dapaah also mentioned amounts of $200,000 and €300,000 as having been stolen from the room without indicating who the amounts of money belonged to. We have observed that the $200,000 and the $800,000 have been lumped together in one count on the charge sheets as belonging to Cecilia Dapaah. It is important for the police to conduct investigations into. So let's look at this here. Attorney General is saying that Cecilia Dapaah didn't say the money is for her. They should get her to say that the money is for her so that they can check, so that they can investigate. If the money is for her, where did she get it from? If the 300 is for her husband, where did she get it from? She should say that again and say it clearly. Okay. And then he goes on to say that the police have put together the 800,000, which he says is not for her, and the 200,000. That's the whole point about Cecilia Dapaah has stolen 1 million. Because they are adding 800 plus 200. Because the police, when they went to court, said the total amount of money that has been stolen, belonging to. They did not isolate the belonging to for people to see. So that's one propaganda that's gone out. That's not quite true. But anyway, let's move on. So Attorney General says that it is important for the police to conduct investigations into A, the true ownership of the amounts of $200,000 and $300,000 and €300,000. The true ownership of the amounts. B, the sources from which the established owners of the amounts of 200,000 and 300,000 acquired the money. That's very important. So the Attorney General is saying that, first of all, confirm that 200,000 belongs to Cecilia Dapaah and 300,000 belongs to her husband. First of all, deal with that. Once you cross that, now come and find out that the source from which they say they got that money, the source from which her husband says I got €300,000, and the source from which Cecilia Dapaah says I get $200,000, investigate those sources. That's what the Attorney General is telling CID. Then he says, it is important for the police to establish the ownership of the various amounts of money dishonestly appropriated, that is to say stolen, to avoid any duplicity in the charges. Attorney General is saying that it's important for the police to establish the ownership of the various amounts of money that have been stolen so that there's no duplicity. Because right now, the accused persons are saying that, I didn't take 1 million. I took 17,000. I took this, I took that, I took that. There was a 17,000 slide. Did I miss it? The lady's money, the 17,000 slide. I'm just seeing that I missed it. I didn't use it. The slide that says she bought a land and something for 17,000. I used it. Oh, we used it. Okay. I didn't make the point. All right. Okay. So this is what Attorney General is saying. This is Attorney General's advice together, which has now gone to the CID. I understand that tomorrow the CID might be reading it in court, so people will see it. But you heard it here first, didn't you? Thank you very much. Thank you to our police sources who gave us the information. The police are very nice people, you know. We asked them that this one, they said, oh, but it's not a secret. The graphic had published that Attorney General, we had sent the docket, so he's brought the advice. We'll read it in court tomorrow, but if you want it, here it is. I said, oh, thank you, sir. Yeah. Cecilia Dapaah also mentioned so that should be sorted, and then the true ownership of the amounts should be sorted, and then also where they got the money from. So the Attorney General is not concerned about that the money was in the house. As people know, the rules are not against anybody keeping money in the house. We have to keep money in the bank, but the rules are not against. So that's not part of the prosecution. So they kept the money in the house, yes. Who is the money for, as they have disclosed? They have already told you, confirm that the money is for these people. And then investigate where those people got the money from. And then report back to the Attorney General. And if there's prosecution, there will be prosecution. If there's arbitration, there will be arbitration. Is that not the end of the story? Okay. Martin Amidu has been saying something about OSP, and I think it's related to this one. So let's have a look. So this is a story on Ghana Web. Martin Amidu wades into Cecilia Dapaah's stolen 1 million saga. Okay. The case of the former minister, Cecilia Dapaah, and her husband hit the airwaves on July 21, 2023, and she was immediately found guilty by the media and the public opinion. This must be a reminder of those who have lived through the June 4, 1979 uprising, where Ghanaians, including junior officers of the armed forces, hysterically, emotionally, and irrationally. Oh, wow. Is Martin Amidu saying this? Martin Amidu, the Keda, talking about this. That is so interesting. This must be a reminder for those who have lived through June 4, 1979 uprising, where Ghanaians, including junior officers of the armed forces, hysterically, emotionally, and irrationally bayed for blood of former heads of state and other senior military officers who eventually lost their lives at the firing squad amid cheers from the public. The worst of the public hysteria and emotions looking for the minister's blood was yet to happen, and that the unlawful populist law enforcement rubric of the OSP. I love that. But that is true. That day, what the OSP did was very, very wrong. It was so terrible, backward, crude, very, very bad. So much so that Martin Amidu pops up to look at the words he's using to describe. That it is unlawful, it is populist, it is the rubric of the OSP. That's what Martin Amidu is saying. He's concerned about that. And all of us ought to have been concerned about that. Some people even insulted me for saying that. But here is a very wise man. Granting that I'm not. But you know, he's a deep thinker. He's a lawyer for many years. And that's what he says. He says it's unlawful. Okay, let's go on. He mentions him by name now. He says, Kisi Ajaben, by publicizing the supposed arrest of Cecilia Dapaah, who had just resigned her office as Minister of State, was eroding her presumption of innocence and deepening the perception that the former minister was guilty of an unstated offense before she could even be investigated for a specified corruption offense. Populism has no place in law enforcement. Oh, Martin Amidu, God bless you. You go to heaven. Tell Dr. Dapaah to the same thing. Tell Dr. Dapaah, let's read it again. Populism has no place in law enforcement. OSP and Dr. Dapaah, are you listening to Martin Amidu? He says populism has no place in law enforcement. You go arrest Cecilia Dapaah, then you call all the media to come. Everybody come, follow me. Let me go arrest Cecilia Dapaah. IGP, today he's here, he take photo. Tomorrow he's dancing. Then he's talking to children. Then law enforcement has no place for populism. Is for the day are you, Black Stars captain. Martin Amidu, you should have added it. That populism is for that. Even though Rollins used to do a bit of populism. But he's a politician, so that's okay. Populism has no place in law enforcement. Okay, law enforcement is a serious and impartial business as it deals with upholding the constitutionally guaranteed rights of citizens suspected of the commission of crime during investigation. Firstly, he says, it is unethical to deploy law enforcement in aid of public hysteria and emotions before the establishment of prima facie evidence pursuant to an investigation. Secondly, there is no offense known under Section 79 of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act as corruption and corruption-related offenses. Hey, this is getting very interesting. This is getting interesting. We are going to be very interested. We're going to pursue this. We're going to pursue this. We are going to ask the question Amidu is asking directly to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I'm going to write to him. Freedom of Information, quick work on it. Freedom of Information Act, bring it. We are going, like the way we did with Nana Togbe Afede, when he said that he doesn't want S. Gracia and we knew that it was dishonest. The way letter we wrote to Council of State. Let's draft that letter to Office of the Special Prosecutor. Amidu says that there is no offense known under the Section 79 of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the Prosecutor Act, as corruption and corruption-related offenses. Because OSP said he's investigating Cecilia Dapaah for corruption and corruption-related. Amidu says you have no such power. You have no such locus. Under the law that establishes you can't do that. It's the Attorney General who can do it. The Attorney General can investigate anything. Corruption, corruption-related offenses, LGBTQI, Attorney General can investigate everything. Office of Special Prosecutor, you have a limit. And Amidu is reminding you that under Section 79, there's nothing called corruption and corruption-related offenses. So what do you mean by you are investigating somebody for corruption and corruption-related? When you have no mandate so to do, we shall deal with this. We shall deal with it. Consequently, the Special Prosecutor was violating the constitutional rights of the former minister by accusing her of no offense known to Act 959. Indeed, Parliament has not passed any law criminalizing unexplained wealth, and the OSP's LI 2374 does not create any such offense. Furthermore, Article 286 and 287 dealing with the asset declaration referred to by those lawyers are enforceable by the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice and not the OSP. Now, somebody is saying that the OSP is being an octopus and claiming territory where the Constitution and the law that set him up had never intended. That's what he's saying. He's saying that the OSP has become an octopus and he's claiming territory in places where the law that set him up, the 1992 Constitution, the Criminal Offences Act, the Criminal Procedure Offences Act, has not given him those powers. But you can understand when people are behaving like film stars, they forget to check their mandate. You can understand, can't you? This is very, very interesting. And we're going to deal with that. We're going to deal with that a whole lot. The Special Prosecutor was, therefore, on a populist and unethical frolic of his own, and fishing for evidence by placing the former minister under arrest and purporting to investigate her. As a result of the populist and unethical law enforcement by the OSP, on same Monday, 24 July 2023, one Eric Mawena Egbeta, a TV3 reporter, in a stand-up reportage in front of OSP, referenced sources within the OSP in telling the station that a new stash of money was found during a search at the former minister's residence, which took them about 5 hours to count. There can be no smoke without fire, so the saying goes. The public believes that the investigation division of the OSP must have leaked the results of their search at the former minister's and her husband's residence to Eric Mawena Egbeta, the TV3 reporter, for him to engage in a stand-up reportage at the OSP. No amount of sophistry in language used by the Special Prosecutor can change that perception brought about by the indiscretion, irresponsible, and unprofessional investigative style of the OSP. Amidu is going very hard. He says the indiscretion, irresponsible, and the unprofessional investigative style of the OSP. The Ghana Police Service should, as a matter of urgency and fairness, investigate the sources of the alleged leakages as mandated by Section 74 of Act 595, as the Special Prosecutor will have to be the subject of this investigation himself to establish which authorized officers committed the offense. Oh, that's interesting. Martin Amidu is telling the police that you can actually begin an investigation of the special prosecutor. Don't you know that? You should begin an investigation of him. Because why did the information leak? And he himself should be a subject of the investigation. He, the special prosecutor. Did he leak it? He has committed an offense or a misdemeanor. Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. The serious scrutiny breaches to the residence of Cecilia Dapaah, the serious security breaches to the residence of Cecilia Dapaah has left broken eggs all over the face of the president and his law enforcement agencies. In all these, ineptitude and presumption of innocence has been trampled upon as though it has never been guaranteed under the Constitution. In the case of the former minister's husband, his voice has completely been silenced by mob lynching, hysteria, and emotions, as though marrying a woman who has become a minister of state kills one's very existence as a human being. The manner this case has been handled by the executive branch and its agencies may constitute a disincentive for honest and qualified citizens to wish to accept appointment to high office in the Republic. That is true. Even the worst suspected criminal is entitled to the presumption of innocence and a fair trial until proven guilty by a court of law under the 1992 Constitution. The Constitution mandates all genuine constitutional defense activists to defend those hallowed rights, even if they may incur the opprobrium of a hysteric and emotional public. Wow. I want to clap. Martin Benz Kaiser Amidu. Good evening, sir. Good evening. Did you see the wisdom? Did you see the power of thoughts? You see, this is what I call the power of thoughts. And that's what media is about. All media should be distilling this. I have not heard anybody talk about it. All the media, tomorrow, the Super Morning Show on Joy FM, they should be distilling this information. It is nation building. This is what they call nation building. Not slamming the drums of corruption when you have no basis. Martin Amidu, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have a lot to do tonight. We want to talk about security, so we'll end it here as we get the text messages on this one. Give us the text message. After that, Derek has a presentation, and then Alhassan Bello will be here. By the time I come back to the touchscreen, Alhassan Bello will be here. Okay, text messages on this one.
All right. So Francis says, Paul, people are so quick to judge and make decisions for themselves about situations they know absolutely nothing about. I think it is about our entrenched positions in our partisan politics. Francis again says, wow, what a pictorial illustration and source. Paul, you are too good. You really make us understand what you are saying. Lastly, Samson says, this is what we call journalism with facts and figures, not those shouting, Habwa and Kwasia. You may not like Paul, but you can learn a lot from him. Much love, bro. And Emmanuel says, I always learn a lot on Good Evening Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Paul.
So Francis Mensah says, personally, Paul, I think that the OSP itself is a waste of taxpayers' money. That office must be abolished. Emmanuel Ampoma adds on to say, no wonder since the special prosecutor started, he's not prosecuted anyone since his term of office. Maggie Adai says, I'm liking what Martin Amidu is saying. Very interesting. Dixon Amankwa says, how come they were able to procure all these items with the booty, talking about the money they got, the house helps got? Akoto Emmanuel says, oh, Papa Paul, in fact, your investigation has given me pimples goose. You are more than a CID person. And lastly, CK Amejo says, therefore, the police failed to stabilize the ownership of the money. Anastasia.
All right, thank you. So from Joshua Lante, he says, Paul, I have been watching you for 10 years now. Please, how do I get to meet you too? All right, so from Kweku Nimoti Musa, he says, this is why the others are always envious of you, Paul. Charlie, you know what you are doing, what you are about, and always on top of your game. The analysis, the breakdown, etc. is always on point. Keep educating some of us. Good evening, Paul. From Kuma Emmanuel, he says, I always learn a lot on Good Evening Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Lastly, from Kofi Sparks, he says, great job, Paul. What I'm worried about is the fact that there's now hatred against many successful people in Ghana, and this is sad. Yes, to you, Angelo.
Right, so this message comes from Junior Akbar. It's not properly worded. I just want you to know that I've seen your message, but I can't read it because I don't understand it. Ismail Fadari says, Archbishop Paul Ajewatri, the young man who has single-handedly taken journalism to a different level among his peers. May Allah bless your memory. Dumevik Bonyo says, equalization is retrogressive politics. Rather hold the party in power accountable. And this interesting message comes from Kofi Blonya. It says that we don't expect you to be neutral, Paul. All we expect is objectivity. Once in a while, pause and ask yourself if you've been objective. If the answer is in the affirmative, then you could continue. I wish you well, and I remain an ardent viewer of your show. And this message says, good evening, Paul. Well done for this report on Cecilia Dapaah's case. Yes, there is no populism in law. And that's it from social media for now. Back to you, Paul.
Okay, so we get to Bello. You have to. Is Bello ready? Bello should get ready and mount the touchscreen, and then we come. Derek, it's your turn now. So you tell our viewers something. Now you're on the show. Tell our viewers.
I mean, I need to get this across. I'm bemused by what you're doing here right now. I mean, it is one thing to watch it behind your TV screens. It is another to actually be seated in the studio in such closer propinquity to be enjoying what you are doing here right now. I mean, amidst all the pressures and everything, I mean, you are here, so you see the pressures of having to deliver to millions across the world watching you. And yet, you do it with sheer grace. I mean, I want to carry this across. Thank you, Paul. You have been an inspiration to me, and this is the evidence to show for it.
How do you write English so well? So you read a lot?
I read, yes, I do that. And I watch Good Evening Ghana, obviously.
We don't teach English. You said you have a presentation. Let viewers see it. That's
yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Viewers, Derek brought this to me from Kumasi. Yeah. Wow. What is there? Oh, wow. Oh, Derek, thank you. So I wear this. Aha! You know. Yeah, that's beautiful. Please call the photographer to come and get me a shot in this one. Oh, he's not here. Yes, I've not seen him today. Oh, we are sorry, our resident photographer didn't come. His name is Kuku. So when he comes, I'll wear it again and I'll take a breath. Derek, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Welcome,
it's a big pleasure. Thank you. This
is an honor beyond reckoning, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Derek. Thank you so much. Okay, viewers, I will now join Alhassan Bello so that we can understand the confusion in Africa. What's happening? Bello, is it a story you're enjoying, or is it a story that you predicted? What's happening? Why are we back at this turmoil?
It goes back to how Ecowas addresses coup d'etat in the past, and they need to use force.
Yeah, this force thing is frightening. Is it going to work? If it doesn't work, then Ecowas is in trouble.
No, Ecowas understands its strengths and its limitations, and they're trying to work within that space to make sure they address the situation. But for the first time, we've seen some of the most stringent measures being imposed. But when we get there, you begin to see the measures.
So you tell us the story your way.
So before we get to the story itself, you know, when the coup occurred in Mali, there was this senior political analyst, a lecturer at the University of Cincinnati. He made an analysis of how international community responds to coup d'etat, and he categorized it into four. You know, you have the hard rejection, where the coup makers are pressured to stand down immediately and restore the ousted incumbent. That is what Ecowas is trying to do here. You have the soft rejection. The ousting of the incumbent is allowed to stand, but the coup makers are not permitted to rule.
Is it that they're not permitted to rule, or they are given a short time to hand over?
In the soft rejection, the ousting is allowed to stand, but they're not permitted to rule, so you call for a fresh election.
Yes, fresh election, yes. That's true. That's very true.
And the soft acceptance, ousting the incumbent is allowed to stand, and the coup makers are given relatively lengthy period of time to organize transition, which has been Ecowas' approach previously.
Lengthy time of time means 2 years? 1 year?
2 years, a number of years.
Or sometimes 2, then they extend it to another one.
So that approach was not allowed. You know, in Mali you had 2 coups by the same actor, Assimi Goïta. And then you have the hard acceptance. The coup itself is treated as fait accompli. And the coup makers are allowed to stand, which is the same reason that we have the situation in Sudan today. AU allowed that to stand.
Sudan itself?
Yeah, because
the insurrection that overthrew al-Bashir?
Al-Bashir, you know, the military intervened.
Yeah.
The civilians stood their ground. That was the first time I saw people besieging the army headquarters in the world.
That they don't want al-Bashir?
They don't want the military to take over from al-Bashir.
They want al-Bashir to be there.
Instead of AU supporting the citizens, AU went to negotiate the power sharing with the army that allowed the army to have a say.
Oh, I see. What was AU's basis for doing that? American pressure? Because Al-Bashir has sanctions on his head, doesn't he?
Perhaps there was this
fear. He has International Criminal Court summons.
There could be this fear of instability if you take the army out of politics too hasty.
Yeah, so there must be a reason. It's not that they were being biased, but there's a reason.
No, but you see, sometimes when you don't crack the whip, you know, in the 96, 97, we had wars in Sierra Leone, Liberia. It took hard intervention to prevent the spread of the same situation. So meaning if you don't crack the whip, you create a domino effect.
But the intervention in Liberia was not successful.
It was. I don't know, we wished Chastela out.
No, the intervention that brought Chastela in, is that where ECOMOG?
ECOMOG was in Liberia twice.
Yeah, twice, yes. The first ECOMOG was to stop Chastela from taking over.
Yeah.
And that's what got Samuel Doe killed by Yomi Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah. And ECOWAS was not successful because they went in to support the regime, the existing government, which was Samuel Doe. He got murdered by another rebel leader, and they really couldn't succeed.
So now, if you look at the situation today, we have the key actors on the ground now. Having ousted the president, you have ECOWAS taking the lead initiative. So on one side, you have ECOWAS under its chairman, Bola Tinubu, and then you have Mohamed Bazoum, the also president, and then his former boss, Mohamed Yusuf. This is also an important factor in this coup. And then you have the coup plotter himself, General Abdurrahman Tijani. You know, in 2021, barely 2 days before the handover, the first transition of power from one government to another in Niger, from Mohamed Yusuf to his then subordinate, there was this coup attempt that was foiled by General, what do you call it?
Foiled by him?
By him in 2021. So afterwards, he gained the loyalty and trust of the president. But then to stay in power, or else they plot coup against you. And the citizens always know very well that arrangement doesn't work and continue to entrench their poverty. And then we also try to break away from that arrangement. You could stand to face a coup d'etat. So you are caught in between a rock and a hard place. Listen to the wish of the people, break away from France, and lose your power. So in a series of interviews, he was speaking in Hausa though. That's why I didn't even bring the videos. He was showing his support for ECO, trying to see if Niger could start putting their money, taking them from the CFE. You get the issue. So that's why initially I thought it was a pro-French coup, but when you begin to connect the dots, you realize that it was just an opportunistic coup. He thought, since the Bazoum was using anti-French rhetorics, if he overthrew Bazoum, he could gain support of France.
Oh, I see. So he was being clever.
He was being clever.
Has that happened? Has he gained the support of France?
No. Because in this situation, he failed to read the context.
So France is against the coup?
France is against the coup. And moreover, you see, France wants stability in Niger. You know, after their ouster from, what do you call it, Burkina Faso, they deployed their forces to Niger. So Niger is very pivot. It's a pivotal.
Okay, they have a battalion there. They have a base.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have base across the Sahel. But when the Burkinabe government asked them to leave, they had to send the forces to Niger. So Niger is pivotal to security and the fight against terrorism in the Sahel. When we get there, you see the map over there. So, so these are the actors.
Okay.
And you know, this is also a big test for not just ECOWAS, but for Tinubu.
As an individual? Or as a president of Nigeria?
As a president and an individual.
As an individual, why?
You know, when he took over the reign of ECOWAS, he gave a very strong worded statement, categorically. And these are part of it. We must stand firm on democracy. There is no governance, freedom, or rule of law without democracy. We will not accept coup after coup in West Africa again. Democracy is very difficult to manage, but it is the best form of government. So this is big.
Oh, I see.
And this
so this is a test for him.
This is the biggest litmus test. And that is why if you look at ECOWAS posture today, you begin to see the traces of this.
Oh, I get you. Beautiful analysis, Bello. So the poster of ECOWAS, which is frontal, is coming from
Tinubu. And secondly, it has with Nigeria's own security concern. Nigeria have about 1,000 kilometer border with Niger. And
that long?
That long. And Niger equally shares border with, what do you call it? So before we go to that, so let's look at the process. So they are now using diplomacy, doing that with the reservation of the use of force. So initially they sent Patrick Talon, the Benin president, to speak to the coup plotters
in Niger.
Then they later sent Mahamat Idris Deby Itno. One would question, why are you sending a soldier who equally came to power through unconstitutional means?
This man here?
Yeah, this man here.
Chadian president?
Yeah, the son of Idris Deby.
Okay.
Per their constitution, in absence of the president, the Speaker of the National Assembly takes over. When his father was killed fighting the rebels, the military installed him in office, which itself is unconstitutional. But then Chad is not a West African country. Chad is in Central Africa. So ECOWAS sending Muhammad Idris Deby Itno is because they know if they are to enforce their decision, they must have the cooperation of Chad to seal the border.
Yeah, that's correct. But that's good thinking from ECOWAS.
So that's why I say ECOWAS understand its strength and its weakness in this situation.
Explain to us here.
You know, you see here they met every actor. And because he was just the commander of the presidential guard, for the coup to be solidified, you know, when he revolted, and there was this attempt to restore. So the army promised that they are going to besiege him, as it happened in Burkina Faso during the time of Dindiri. When Dindiri made the move, Gilbert Dindiri, you know, when
after Blaise left?
When Compaoré was ousted, there was an interim government. There was this counter coup by the RSP.
Yes.
And then the larger army went to besiege them and they were forced to hand over.
Yes.
People thought that was so, but it took the support. When the larger army got to the capital, it took the support of these two actors, General Salif Modi and General Abu Sidiku Issa, who is the chief of the army staff, to give him the backing of the larger army.
Oh, I see.
He was just the head of a smaller in the presidential guard unit.
Yes.
So it took the support of these two actors
to get the larger army to
back him.
Because they don't know him directly, because they don't work with him directly. I get it.
So now, and that was how come ECOWAS has to talk with Salif Modi.
Oh, I see.
So he's trying to bring every actor on board.
Okay.
You could see Salif Modi, you could see the coup protector himself, Abdurrahman Tijani, and you could see the former president. One of the problems that Bazoum had is that
and who is leading these negotiations?
This is Muhammad Idris Deby.
He's in Niger, and he's meeting all these actors.
Yeah, even though it's from a Central African country, but it's going there as an ECOWAS envoy.
Okay.
But interestingly, there's another contrast here. If you look at the picture of Bazoum here, and the pictures of Kondi, when he was arrested, you could see that Bazoum is being treated fairly and more dignified, with dignity than in the case of Kondi.
Okay.
It is because the army itself is trying to use Bazoum as a bargaining chip.
To stay in power.
To see if they could find ECOWAS use a soft approach, which we started with.
No, that's interesting. But that will go against Bazoum.
That will go against Bazoum.
Because he was not going to be president anymore.
See, they are trying to buy time so that we have the situation of Mali where you oust the government and then we take soft acceptance. But we are giving a number of time.
Okay, you go and I'll ask you how do you think it will turn out?
And so this is the ECOWAS communique.
Okay.
One, they still recognize Bazoum as a president, specifically because if they want to intervene in the country, you must cease to recognize the current status quo. But if you admit that Bazoum has been ousted, then there's no ground for you to intervene.
Oh, I get it.
That is why they still maintain that Bazoum remains the president as far as they are concerned.
Wow.
And then they condemn in strongest terms. But then going forward, and they said they wouldn't recognize any decree or whatever that does not come from the elected president.
Okay.
But then there's this place where I think, particular one, where there was a no-fly zone on both commercial and military aircraft.
Declared?
Declared.
By ECOWAS?
By ECOWAS.
Nobody should fly in Niger?
No-fly zone for all commercial.
How are they going to enforce that?
And that is where you need to look at the international actors in Niger. You have the French and you have the US.
Wagner?
No.
No Wagner?
The US has the largest drone base in Africa in the fight against terrorism group in the side situated in Niger.
But there's no Wagner there. That's the question I'm asking you.
No, there's no Wagner in, what do you call it?
In Niger.
In Niger at the moment. Okay. And then there's no room for Wagner to operate in Niger at the moment because the status quo does not favor Wagner operation.
Okay, continue. Walk us through these pictures.
Okay, I'm looking.
There's the end of the.
So it frees all transactions, including utility service. You know, Nigeria supply a lot of electricity to Niger. So all commercial and financial transactions between ECOWAS members and Niger.
Oh, so that's what you were telling me, Mikhail, that the guy says, there's a guy who's in Niger who was going to talk to us. Yeah.
Suspension of all Niger first. So it's like a very similar, more than what we've seen in the past.
These are sanctions.
Sanctions on Niger.
So they should stay in light of?
So they are trying to make sure to prove to the military that you cannot rule this country once we say you can't.
Okay.
And then, but the biggest challenge of ECOWAS, so that's why after every coup d'etat, I see people supporting the coup d'etat is because ECOWAS has a problem. There's a selective approach to treatment of coup. The protocol says unconstitutional change of government. It did not state military coup. But when leaders try to bastardize the constitution to extend their rule, ECOWAS tend to tolerate it. That's why for me, I still consider Alassane Ouattara to be a coup plotter flat.
He's how many? He's in the third term?
Yeah, in the third term. Regardless of the technicality used, ECOWAS says unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional.
But is it unconstitutional? Don't they amend the constitution to secure the third term?
The same protocol says 6 months prior to election, you don't tamper with electoral laws.
Is it electoral laws?
Electoral laws.
Yeah, but they will have to change that. Maybe they amended it.
But then he chose because his own...
What I'm saying is that it's not illegal, but you can complain that it's immoral. Because they will amend the constitution to allow for the constitution to allow what they want to do.
Before you sign to a convention, you must make sure your laws conform with it or you don't sign.
Which convention
so
is that?
The Ecowas Convention on Good Governance. So once you append your signature, you forfeit whatever clause in your constitution that contradicts it.
No, the National Constitution of Ghana is the most important law. That's the law that we obey. We don't. It's stronger than international conventions.
For example, the NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty, right? Mm-hmm. Before you sign to it, if you have nuclear weapon in your constitution, do you sign the NPT? You don't. Mm-hmm. Once you go and sign the NPT, you are forced to destroy your nuclear weapons you have.
Yes, to destroy.
And that is South Africa is the only country to have built successfully and destroyed nuclear weapon.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But that's destroying something. It's not the law.
Once you append your signature to a convention, it's equally binding on you.
And the convention is good governance.
It deals with good governance.
But why is a third term bad governance?
So, because you want to come third term, you change the election. So after you having served your third term and go home, if another person wants to come for a fourth term, should he also massage? So we keep on changing the terms.
No, I'm asking, why is it bad governance?
The constitution says 2 terms,
yeah,
right?
But Mugabe was there for longer than 2 terms.
In Mugabe's case,
Tony Blair was prime minister for more than 2 terms.
Because that is
Margaret Thatcher was prime minister for more than 2 terms.
That is the parliamentary system.
Yes.
And then the government comes from parliament. And moreover, you don't elect the prime minister. You elect the party, and the leader of the party becomes the leader. So anytime there's a change within the leadership of the party, the prime minister could come from the party today, tomorrow lose office. Mm-hmm. But in this case, you are electing an individual. So there are 2 different situations. Yeah. That is one.
I agree with that.
But then you see, because Ecowas has been very selective through the way it treats the so-called constitutional coup, it kind of gives the military coup plotters some leverage when they try to use populist rhetorics. And you've seen it across, because if you look at the attacks across the Sahel today, despite the fact that the military have taken over, the attacks have intensified. Burkina Faso and Mali. So you consider even the fact that we have military men in power, they are not effectively tackling the situation that they promised to tackle. But because they use populist rhetorics, anti-French rhetorics, anti-colonial rhetorics, they begin to gain support. All because ECOWAS has, in one way or other, been culpable or conniving with bad governance.
Okay, we'll accept the point. We don't
and then we get to Mali situation today, the same populist issue, telling us that per the new constitution that French assist to be the official language.
What does it mean?
So, meaning if there's any special rule on paper that French language enjoys, it's easy to have that, what do you call it? But French remains a working language. So in government functions or whatever, you will still have the French language. Practically speaking, what they could do now is that for every document that is written in French, you must have a copy of it across all the languages.
Local languages.
Local languages. But
why are they doing this? Is it for populism? Is it for Russia?
The same populist rhetoric they use to gain support, like I said. And then, but interestingly, if they want to have a national language, because of the issue of Islam in Mali itself, Arabic language could be suitable for them. And then so far, these are the countries in ECOWAS, but these ones have been suspended. As you can see, the ones in red have been suspended. Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea for coup d'etat. And now Nigeria has joined the list. These are the still functional ECOWAS members. And then the reason why you are having Chad being brought here is because of geography. As you can see, Nigeria shares border with. So you need to bring them on board. And then you need to look at this place. So on this map, you could see the position of foreign military bases in Niger. The green ones represent the French bases, Ayoru, what do you call it, Olam, and then you have the US base in Agadez. So if ECOWAS seek to intervene, with the backing of the international forces already situated in Niger, they stand a chance. And then finally, those who think Wagner group will join, let's look at the global international situation at the moment. Russia is at a loggerhead with the West. If you go to the UN General Assembly, Africa controls the largest number of seats, group of countries. The group of, I think, G54 or G77, where you have Africa and other developing countries together. So collectively, Russia is in no position to antagonize African countries because it needs their backing on moral grounds, so that sometimes they need to abstain, if you look at the vote. So Russia wouldn't want to provoke, especially Nigeria, being the largest economy on the continent, to support or to intervene and then deter Nigeria's security situation. So as I said, the coup is an opportunistic coup whereby the soldiers didn't think it
The
through.
points you make about Russia is very correct. I didn't think about it.
Because if you look
they will not want to go against Nigeria.
And we just had the Africa-Russia summit.
Yeah.
You could see they're still trying to use African support. So in this situation, Russia will not want to antagonize African countries.
An opinion taken by African officials, ECOWAS, AU, and all of that.
So if you look at the protocol itself, ECOWAS is still citing AU conventions. So they're trying to bring the continental body in place. And you know, before we went to Gambia through the ECOMIG, we had to go to the Security Council with a resolution that was backed by the the Permanent Five. So I think AU will also ECOWAS will still take the same procedure. So once you have the backing of the Security Council, it becomes global. Of the support of it becomes continental. And you have ECOWAS coming on to you, so automatically you become very isolated. So we wait to see how it pans out. But it is most likely the case that the coup would fail and Bazoum will be restored. Will he be restored to serve his term, or will he be restored for a fresh election to be conducted? We don't know, because for over a long period of time, this is the first time ECOWAS is coming with a whip.
Excellent. Very that's solid presentation. Let's take a text message on this one, and then we'll be wrapping it up for tonight on Good Evening Ghana. So, what are people saying? Thank you.
All right. So, before I continue, I'd like to say that we have started streaming on TikTok now. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can go to TikTok and stream. So from TikTok, Nana says, the best political program so far, regardless, in Ghana now. And yes, from Kwame Lauren Noma, he says, excellent analysis, Al-Hassan Bello. And Lily Will says, Bello is super. Ibrahim H. Nazuli says, this guy is good. Fusaini Sanda says, God save Africa. And lastly, from Dancehall Medusa Beam, he says, I'm here today because of Bello. Yes, to you, Annette.
Yes, so Bello is still collecting his flowers here. Oscar says, nice guy as well. Isaac, Bello is a natural resource. He says, I am enjoying the analysis and presentation. There are a lot of people dotting their hats off for Bello. Yeah, Paperi says they should keep their fight in their countries. They should not bring it to Ghana. We are enjoying our peaceful Ghana. Life is easy and smooth here. Prince Jones Opoku, Al-Hassan Bello is amazing. Guy is naturally gifted at what he does. George Bamford says, you wouldn't get this education anywhere else. Paul is just not a journalist, but also a social studies teacher. Watching you live from the UK, Manchester. And then lastly, I'll take lastly from Ebenezer Annan. He says, one challenge in Africa that has been common amongst Africa is bad leadership, and it shows in many spheres of social and economic life. However, some African leaders have graduated to making nonsense of their democratic political tenure, limitations to extending to a third term, or strangling opposition chance. This is the main cause of the rising coups in the region. Our political leaders must address this concern. Obviously, some have been guilty of same. Let us pay attention. Then lastly, Lilibo says, if coup d'etat is the only solution to develop a country, then Africa should have been looking like heaven. We must learn. Over to you, Ella.
All right. So Kwabinat says, good job, Paul. You are always on point. Now, let's go on to some of the messages on TikTok. Frank Kingdom says, good work done. Salam says, Bello is legendary. Johnny 2022 says, God save Africa. Johnny, I would have to agree with you on that one. Dan Max says, good presentations. Pablo says, very insightful. Thanks to Paul and the team. Prince says, we are proud of you, Paul. Retrospective 45 says, Bello is superb. Kojo says, ECOWAS has outlived its usefulness. That is a conversation and a debate that I think is still happening, Kojo. And Virtua says, Bello is great. Love him from Gambia. Thanks, Paul. And lastly, Karibu says, we have learned a lot from this notification, from this presentation. Keep it up. Well done, Bello. All right, so that would be all the messages. Angelo?
Yeah, my friend Malik Amadu watching us from Niger says, have lights out. They've cut electricity, punishing us who support the coup. I don't know if that's the actual situation. Thank you, Malik. Kobi Kotoku says, you never lose it. Too good, bravo. And George Brampon says, in fact, my daughter has already started watching to learn. Back to you, Paul.
Okay, thank you, viewers. Our time is fast spent. It's 15 minutes by the top of the hour, 11 o'clock. We'll talk to you again next time. Thanks for watching Good Evening Ghana. Good night.
Enjoy the fruits of your labor, they say.